Nice intro for the morning. Fresh off a cold. Oh, stay cold. Jeez. What up, Doc? You know, this gonna be the last one for like the next 2 years. Nah, I get it though. Caffeine Morning Show. Sticks.
AM Caffeine Show. AM Caffeine Show. What up? It's your boy DOC.
It's your girl Marlo J.
And DJ Smooth Melody.
So today, let me tell you, first off, shout out to everyone that tuned into the AM Caffeine Show on Wednesday. It was one of our first shows back. We took a little hiatus. You know, it's been this whole, everything that's going on with Corona. We haven't been able to be in the studio as much. So we haven't, I'm going to be honest, I ain't really been feeling it, y'all. Like, this Zoom, I don't really be feeling this Zoom thing like that, but we decided we're going to come on back. So thanks for everyone that tuned in on Wednesday.
Word.
But today, man, listen. Golly. Can I preach real quick, y'all? Can I just, let me just go to the pulpit real quick and speak to the congregation. Today, who we have on the show, when I tell you this artist, songwriter, producer, comes from one of the most iconic groups ever. And for my generation, it's hands down. There isn't a group that can touch them as far as I'm concerned. He's gone on to sell multi-platinum records. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. There was a biopic done 3 mother effing nights. The one and only. My man, like, this is special because I'm a fan, but this is my dude. Like, we have spent multi-million hours on the phone just clowning, talking about old TV shows, cartoons.
Don't nobody like you, Doc. Knock it off.
Let me tell you, I have never laughed, and this is on everything I love. I have never laughed so hard than I did one night. Ralph and I were in Minnesota, and this dude told me all these stories about being on a road, doing those "Mama, don't eat the chicken" plays. You know, put the Tabasco sauce down, Mama. Like, you know, those off Broadway plays. And the stories that he was telling me, Marlo Smooth, I literally threw up. I was laughing so hard. The one and only, my man, Ralph Tresvant, is in the dance. Brand new single out.
Hey, first of all, I got Smooth. That was you on that intro, right?
No, that was not me rapping. No,
that was just you.
No, it was a cat named Sticks.
So he was just throwing shout outs to y'all.
Yeah.
Sticks got it in, man. I like that, man.
Yeah.
Tell that brother, I give him props on that, man. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And a lot of folks don't know that you can rhyme, Riz. Like, folks don't know that you can really spit.
Yeah, man. We've been going
What
for
you
years,
call
man.
him?
Huh?
What'd you say, Marlo?
I said, what'd you call him? Riz?
Oh, Riz. That's his
R-I-Z-Z.
nickname, R-I-Z-Z.
Yeah.
Riz, is it like Rizal or?
Pretty much. Rizzo, Rizzy Mo.
That's what the friends call you, huh?
Inside track, you know, everybody know it now, pretty much. You know, fan base know me as Riz as well. But yeah, me and Doc go way back, man. You know, we've been effing it up to the beat for a long time.
Ralph, you already know, man. You have a new single out, so we're gonna get into that. But you know, I haven't seen you face to face since the biopic. No, excuse me, since the Hollywood Walk of Fame, when you guys got the star. That's the last time I've actually saw you in person. We've communicated since then, but haven't seen you since then. So we haven't really had a chance to chop it up. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today are things that I just wanted to know. And during that time when you got the star, movie was out, it was all coming out around at the same time. Okay, first off, how did you feel about the movie. When it was all said and done, it came out. I loved it. I don't know what your deal was percentage wise, but you made a lot of money off me on the stream shit. Like I've seen that joint a gang of times.
I do.
And I know everybody has. When it was all said and done, were you satisfied with the final product?
Absolutely. You know, it exceeded my expectations. You know, you always hope that you can do something great or something fly, and it broke records. It did all kind of stuff. The fans showed up and showed out when that came out, man.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, you know, it was one of those things where, as you're making, you're noticing that you have to leave a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor. It's hard to put almost 40 years into 3 nights, even though we got, that was groundbreaking to be able to do 3 nights. But, there's a lot of things in between that could have been, that I wanted to be expressed. But overall, especially my character, when it came down to what I needed to say and relate to people and let them know that this is how it was for me, my walk, being a New Edition member, I thought it was all laid out there in a way that it was supposed to be done. New Edition story started from when we was kids until we grew into adults. So at the end of the day, it was one of those things that I always wanted the family to be able to sit down and watch. Nothing that kind of isolated the kids in another room while the adults watched it or vice versa. So with that being said, I think everybody's character and being true to the story and what really took place, we got all we could get in for those 3 nights, man, to be honest with you. So I was happy. And then obviously the success of it, the people embracing it the way that they embraced it, that touched me. I was very, like I said, it exceeded my expectations on that level. Just you get nervous when it's first coming out and it's about to drop and you hearing the date that it's supposed to come out, you sitting in front of the TV. Actually, I wasn't even there that night. The day it dropped, I was so that I couldn't even watch it.
Wow.
I didn't watch the first night. I didn't even watch it when it came on BET like that. I watched it afterwards on a disc they gave me. So I had to kind of catch up on what everybody saw afterwards. But it was one of those things for me that after I got the response. Yeah, they sent us a DVD copy of it prior to it. And, it should be coming out soon, hopefully on DVD, so everybody can own a copy of it as well. But for me, it was just too nerve-wracking to kind of watch. I just kind of sat back and I started hearing the feedback and hearing everybody go, man, I like this. This is feeling real good. So once I started getting there, started relaxing with everything. And at that point, I was like, yeah, okay. It's doing what we wanted to do. Because we didn't want a Lifetime story, man. You didn't want one of those moments that came out. You know what I mean? Everybody's, the haircuts and all of that. The outfits is cheap.
You didn't want them to put the wigs on? Hey,
right. All that, man. You didn't want none of that. The lighting effect, the lighting changing from night to day in the middle of the scene.
You didn't want it to have the whole Dolomite way of making it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right, Mom. We wasn't trying to feel that. So, once I started seeing the feedback, I was real excited. I was real happy about the outcome overall.
Yeah, it seemed like, go ahead, Marlo.
I'm about to say, you're going to give me a shot.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So did you have a say, 2 questions. Did you have a say on who they chose to play you, or did they just say, this is who's playing you, and you just worked with them?
100%. 100%. I sat there and I worked with them. I met them. They gave me an idea. What was it? Ruby D? What's her name? Yeah. She picked most of the characters. She's just great at what she does overall. So we trusted that in her hands, that she was going to come with some people that could actually sing, dance, and act at the same time, which is hard to do, and then find somebody that was similar enough to your look where it could be believable. So they had narrowed it down to some of the people who they thought was the better picks. You know what I mean? As they did all of that preliminary stuff to do the auditions and all that kind of stuff. So then they gave me, for my character, I know they gave me kind of what they had already weeded through down to these are the actual choices. And so when I met Algie and when I met Lil Jahi, I knew they could pull it off. I felt like after I sat down with them, did a few rehearsals with them. Brooke had already worked with him a little bit. Brooke Payne, our choreographer, had already worked with him, so he knew they could move a little bit, and had worked them into that swag. But I wanted to really give them my flav, so I started doing the routines with them, and they was both like real into it, calling me up, yo, what did you do how did you feel? What was your emotions when this happened or when that happened? And when I was in there rehearsing and practicing with them, they could get my flavor, how I'm actually moving when I do my thing on stage. And he was copying me, play by play. Yeah, so by the time he was done, Hey, by the time it was done, I was that involved with that, and I didn't come back to any more of the sets. That's another thing I didn't come back to. I watched the first 3 or 4 days of shooting maybe, and I split. I came back after it was done because I felt like I knew they had it. They had what it was going to take to get it done.
Is there
And they
anybody
was working in the studio. They was working in the studio with cats like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Babyface, for the vocal stuff. So I already knew they knew me. They know how I move and how I get down. So I trusted that they was gonna come back with the goods. So, and they did.
Yeah, they damn sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Is it anybody that we know that that didn't get the role that they was looking up for?
Not for me.
You didn't know any of the other people?
Nah, there was no like celebrities that like the man that played Mike was a celebrity already. He was on Empire. He was doing his thing.
Right.
Keith that played Ron was kind of moving around and doing his thing, and even the guy that played Johnny, they were all kind of moving around in a way where you wouldn't know them. All the guys that ended up in the final audition or the final approval by me was all people that we would have never known until the movie. So the movie actually pushed them out there. Mm-hmm.
And another thing, is there anything during the process of making this the documentary, well, the biopic of you guys, that you learned that you didn't know about anybody else on the in the group?
No, not really.
Really. Y'all knew it all. Y'all was like, oh, I heard.
I knew the story. Yeah, I knew the story, and the stuff that ended up there was things that we knew had to be told that was going to make what people hadn't heard before. You can do a story, and it's a lot of stuff that was already done in interviews or in just prior to us doing the movie. People had already got that. So what new needed to be in the story that would give people more insight into the group, a greater depth into what we had to endure and go through as young kids, turning into the just enduring those amount of years in the industry. I kind of knew everything that needed to be there, and as I heard everyone's stories, I read the pre-script. We go in there and sit down around the table, and everybody with the actors and all that are just acting out the parts and reading down the lines. Like, yeah, that's all stuff I knew for the most part. So I can't
we didn't know that Ricky had a drug problem at one time. Us did not know that.
Oh, it took a long time. We didn't even know that for years. I think Ricky came to us during the time we was doing the Puffy album and sat down with it. It was that long into the game, or maybe that's when it started, because Ricky was just known as clean cut to me my whole life. He didn't barely drink or anything. So it was really like, what? That was a what moment for all of us. But it was the ins and out of the game, man. This business is up and down, roller coaster, not knowing what's going to happen. With me losing cribs or on the verge of all that kind of stuff, people just think that from the day one, we was just rolling in the dough, and it wasn't like that. So all those different nuances, it took a toll on Slick like that, but he bounced back, he bounced back like he was supposed to, and he's on top of his A game now. So that was what was more important to us, just making sure he had the support system or whatever he had to do to make sure that he could bounce back properly, and he did it.
If y'all had Instagram back then,
oh man,
wow. Oh my God.
Been a whole nother thing. I don't even know if we would have still been in the
Yeah, looking at that series, man, I feel y'all could have done a season worth of stuff on y'all easily.
That's how we felt that day. That's the one thing, Doc, if I was going to say anything, that it felt like we could have continued it, did another set of, three nights or so, and continued it with, like you're saying, like a little mini series or something that we could have done that. And, it's still not off the table. Maybe something that we can revisit one day and come at it like that. But I think for the most part, everything that needed to be said was said, and right. Everything that needed to be shared was shared. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, because again, that was around the time that you guys got the star, mm-hmm. and there was so much buzz around New Edition, not just for us who grew up with you, but then it was a whole new fan base of like our kids who may not have known the story and, maybe heard the music a little bit here and there. But do you feel you guys really capitalized off of all the attention that you guys were getting? Because we were hearing that there was going to be an album, there may have been a tour, all these other things that really could have been extremely, extremely beneficial, money-wise, didn't occur. And I think the fans may have felt a little cheated because we wanted a little more. Do you feel that you guys capitalized? And if not, why did you guys not?
I know, man. The fans is greedy, man. They want too much. Nah, to be honest with you, to be honest with you, bro. There was a lot of stuff that we could have done. We was actually in talks with a cartoon probably 2 years prior to that to do like the Jacksons thing they did once. We kind of followed in the movement of the Jacksons for years. So a lot of things that we saw them do with their careers, we was trying to put ourselves in the situation. That was the perfect time to actually do it. And we had been working on it and talking to the people. It actually drew up scripts, and it was everything but shot at that time because we didn't finish the ink on it before all of that took place with the movie, with the life story. So right around the time when it was introduced, like you're saying, to the younger generation like that, would have been a perfect spinoff for us to do that. And we're still talking about that, to be honest with you. That's something that is still on the table. But yeah, we were supposed to do the tour. We were supposed to do the album. We were supposed to do a big run, which is a lot of why you saw me kind of fade back during that time period because we didn't get to that. And I put off working on new projects, doing other things that I wanted to do because it was time. In my mind, and all of us, we had sat down and talked about it's time to do the next NE run. Let's put everything on hold. And right around that time, my boys came with the Run project and it just kind of put me off. Like I thought we was getting ready to do the Yeah I Mean. What happened? So when that went down, that kind of led everybody to kind of start going into their little cubby holes, back into working on their own things and securing their own bags while they was out there doing what they was doing. And that kind of put it off. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's New Edition. It's New Edition, man. And once we get it together, all that stuff's still on the table. There's still people throwing, tens of millions of dollars just to go on the road. With all this Corona stuff now, it's kind of crazy.
Right.
But it can be done. It's never off the chart because or off the table because of the style and the vibe New Edition's on. You can't really duplicate it with other artists. The history we have with our fan base and all that stuff is kind of we announce tomorrow we get ready to go on tour. We're gonna be all right.
It's gonna be sold out, no question.
I think it even led to that.
Not a question.
I think it even led to that. The fact that they didn't know what's gonna happen or don't know what's gonna happen with the crew for the most part right now. It's kind of like it built more of a desire to see it instead of, like you're saying, it was a steamroll. It was an engine that was moving at the time that we could have played off of, and it would have did just as well probably, I'm sure. But that anticipation now is even more so because you don't know what's going to happen, and the fact that it would come back together now, it's like, okay, I got to see this because we almost didn't get this anymore.
Right.
And let me go out there and catch it while I can. So
absolutely,
it kind of worked. It still works in our favor if we do it right, man.
Yeah, and I feel like right now a lot of us have seen a lot of bad performances online and so it's like at least we know that if we see New Edition perform, it's going to be good. They'll actually notice us, minus that one time that Bobby just scoot off stage. He was like, I can't do it. I'm out. But everybody else is pretty solid.
Yeah, we work hard to make sure. That's what it is. We know there's a certain expectation for how we do what we do, and we know that we have to live up to that each time we drop. So when we come with something, it's the extra rehearsals, it's making sure the suits is right, the promotion's right, all the little nuances that it takes to make sure that it lives up to what people expect from us. At the end of the day, we put in the work for it. So yeah, Bobby's the one that will come in the rehearsal when he's ready, and he'll go do a few moves and do a note and then leave and say, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, sure you do.
Then get on stage and be out of breath.
I'm ready for it. I got it. And, I already know that. I got that. So you keep it moving. But this next one is important. It'll be important for all of us because we know we did take this hiatus, and that it's one of those things that it's almost like each time you come out, you got to kind of prove you still got it.
Right.
You still can do what you do. So for us, we take that serious and don't play around with it. When it's time to hit the stage, we go to work. We go in and put the work in and make sure it's tight.
Do y'all ever have to encourage each other to get like, if you do a stint that you haven't been performing, do you have to encourage each other to, okay, you got to get back in the gym, or you got to start doing these routines again, because, or y'all just already on it? Y'all just already know.
It's kind of organically, like we've been playing off each other for years. So if I come in there and I take my shirt off during rehearsals and my abs is cut up and I'm ready and look like I've been on my thing, or if it's not, I look over and Ron's like that, it's like, okay, we all hitting the floor. If I see Ron hit the floor before one of the performances, I'm hitting it, then Mike's hitting it, Rick's hitting it, we all doing it together. So it's like we play off each other's energy in terms of that. So that we are, eventually we're all that cohesive look. Because sometimes we'll come back and some people's bellies is out there, a little cheek around the waist or something, it's like, but as we start doing the routines, as we start doing our little pre-rehearsal workouts and stuff like that, it rubs off on everybody. Nobody wants to be the one with the yoke on their face when it's time to hit it hard. So watching everybody else down the line from you do work hard, I see them putting it all in. I got to put my all in. It's that kind of a feed off. It's never like, man, come on, you got to get it together, bro. What you doing? But we'll give some incentives. There's some things that we know if they're a little off. It's like, hey, man, you get these rehearsals in hard body. You know what I'm saying? Well, we'll put a little something on there for you at the end of it. Or we'll put a bet on the table. Who's going to have the abs right? Or who's going to have to meet a certain weight and stuff like that. We'll put some wager on the table like that and see how it pans out. But usually that's the motivation's organic. Everybody's just not wanting to be the one falling short when it's time to stay, time to move. I don't want to be the one. You don't want, the ones down beside me don't want to be the one. So we make sure we put it in on. It's on that level when we're going.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what is the hardest part of being in a group? Is it business? Is it creative? Like if you had to pinpoint and say, this is what's so hard for me to be part of an ensemble, or is it a combination of it? Like what is it for you?
Yeah, it's probably twofold for me. One of the things, like you said, business, trying to make sure you got the right team and the right managers or accountants and people like that you got to work with when you do a run. Sometimes that can be challenging because everybody has who they think is the better person for that role or that slot. So that could be challenging. But for the most part, we usually work that out. But the business side of it is definitely a hard part to stick around with, especially if you've been in situations where time and time again, stuff keep coming up short or it's not living up to the expectations that you expected it to have. And you got to keep kind of taking this majority rules kind of thing. It's like, man, that ain't who will do my business. And I know my business is airtight individually. When I move, all my money's accounted for. All this other, just different things. The people I'm working for puts it on a certain level, and I know that this is going to work a certain way. So you want that team to be involved. And sometimes you got to give and take, with the group thing. But with New Edition, for the most part, everybody that's on the table is usually top notch at what they do. So it's not that hard. And I think the other part would be as a lead singer, as the upfront cat with it, it's not a lot of time to do me.
Mm-hmm.
Outside things that I want to do or projects I would want to be involved with, can't get involved with anything that's long-term or anything that could secure a separate bag. And especially if they're long-term contracts and stuff like that, you got something that somebody want to work with you for over 6 years or more, whatever it might be. You can't just jump out of that, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden be available for the group to play your role. So that can be challenging, being able to take advantage of other opportunities and still be open when it's time to do what we got to do as a unit. So that can be challenging as well. But we balanced it out enough so that I haven't really had no real regrets. But there are a lot of opportunities and things that when I look back in hindsight, I say, I wish I was to take care of that. I wish I'd have did that or took more advantage of some of those opportunities.
Right. Marlo, did you have anything?
Yes, I did.
Go right ahead.
So since you are the reigning leader and champion of sensitive singers, you open the door. You open the door for the Carl Thomases of the world. So are you okay with that badge, or are you like, nah, I'm a tough guy?
I think there's, people that know me know there's a balance with it, so I'm cool with it. The people that really know me and been around me understand that there's a balance that there's a sensitive side. There's a side of me that really, I'm a very caring person, a very loving person. My energy is very loving for the most part. But, you know, I'm also that dude that if you mess with me, I could have a tear in my eye while I'm beating you down. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
It could be going down. You made me do this to you, fool.
Oh, wow. And look what you made me do.
It can be. It's a variation to it that I do wish that there was more of the complete understanding of who I am, and that's what I tend on doing with this next project and how I'm moving now. You know, to make people understand that those songs was written about me by people, their take on me. Sensitivity was written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who, as I spent few weeks just hanging out in Minneapolis and being with the guys, which are my musical heroes, just hanging with them and going to Timberwolf games and whatever was going on in the city. And, you know, this is what they pulled from me. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard it, I was like, that wasn't my approach, man. That ain't what I'm thinking I'm giving off. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm giving off.
Right.
He said, that's what I'm giving off?
Yeah,
that wasn't what I was going for.
That's not what I was going for at all, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, it works. I think that when I heard it and I understood what they was pulling out of me, the side that they was wanted people to see, you know what I mean? And with all of the hard body stuff going on at the time, they gave me a lane that they knew nobody else was going to go down and approach. So sensitivity allowed me to go and show a side of myself. And a lot of men overall, you know what I'm saying? A lot of men overall have this side that they don't want to speak about, that they rather keep under the cloak of being tougher and rougher, you know, more hard body with it. And I think I allowed that expression, like you said, to be expressed by a lot of men, you know, and feel comfortable with being able to show that side of themselves. So overall it works. And that's when, you know, I thought the balance was going to be in songs like Stone Cold Gentleman.
Right.
You kind of get
that was going to be the balance.
That's going to balance it out where it don't turn into that, you know, he's just softy, Mr. Softy or whatever it might be. You know, they're going to be able to feel it throughout Rated R and all this other stuff that I was putting on the album.
Doing it with
all of that was going to show the balance, but somehow Sensitivity was such a big record. It just kind of walks in front of me still to this day as, you know, the song that they remember the most about me.
Hey, and it is a classic. It is a classic.
I know it's plenty of your ex-girlfriends are like, oh, now he's missing Sensitivity. Oh, really? Really?
You are too much, Marlo. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, that's the one that follows me the most. You know, that imagery seems to be the one. But, you know, it started with Candy Girl and all of those love records from back then, and then coming out of that stuff, going into Sensitivity, that did, you know, it didn't help. It was like a lead up going into it that seems like that's who he is. That's the dude. And for, you know, like I said, I represent on 90-something% of my records is about love, some sort of love, falling in love, falling out of love, sharing love, you know, whatever it might be. Love hurts, and all these different things, titles that always stuck with me, and even with New Edition. Baby Love, Lost in Love, you know, If It Isn't Love. It's always been about love for me. So I hold that badge. I hold it and I wear it on my sleeve proudly.
Okay, one more question for real. This is it.
No, go ahead.
You can take it. But okay. When you I want to frame it right. Go ahead, Doc. I want to frame it right.
You got it together yet? No?
No, not yet. Go ahead.
So, Riz,
yeah.
I know you as a songwriter, and you're forever in a studio and you're forever creating. Mm-hmm. Why is it that there hasn't been more music from you? So, you know, when BBD went on, you know, they go on their run and they'll release music. Johnny's always releasing music. And you're sitting on so much music. Is it a timing thing, or is it, you know what, I'm not exactly sure if this is the body of work I want to put out to represent me at this time? Mm-hmm. Are you just like, because I think the lack of you putting out a lot of music kind of adds to your mystique as well, because you're not out there like that. Like, it's not too often that we see you. You're not the club dude. You're very hit and miss. You know, Ralph was here. Like, man, Ralph wasn't here. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like a unicorn. Is that all on purpose? What is it?
That's funny. I think it's a cross between what I was talking about earlier, not doing too much, that when its time comes, I'm available for new edition. Because when you obligate yourself as an individual, sometimes that can take, depending on how hard it hits, that could be years that you got to push it, you got to move it, you got to tour off of it, and the whole thing. So one of those things, that's part of it. The other part is that I was content being, for the most part, my role in New Edition. I didn't really need the solo accolades. Since day one, I had the screaming fans, I had the crazy amount of fan mail at the record companies and all, you know, it was just a lot of attention. So I didn't need anything else to kind of tell my story. But there was a point where, as far as, like you saying, the style of music I wanted to put out, there was an album I was working on back in the early 80s, mid 80s, called Living in a Dream. I think I told you about this, Doc, that I never dropped. And that was more closer to like the Don't Be Cruel album with the Prerogatives. And there was that dude from around the way that I was inking about and talking about then. And by the time I actually got to the point where it was time to drop it, or there's room to drop it, BBD was out with their style, which kind of reflected some of it. Bobby was out with the Don't Be Cruel Prerogative album, which was the same flavor, with the two dances and the whole shot that I was doing. Bobby's a huge fan of that album, as a matter of fact, by the way. Mm-hmm. So he understood my approach and where I was going with it, and incorporated a lot of that. Not only him, but other artists at the time was coming with the swing, and Teddy and Guy. So the style was kind of out there now. It wasn't as unique. And my thing was to always come with something that felt unique to me. So when I'm in the studio recording, I think that's exactly what I was looking for. If I'm not going to do something to me that feels groundbreaking and unique, and I'm just doing more of what I've been doing, then I might as well just wait and say that for the projects I'm working on. My album, as a solo album, for the most part, without the different rap parts or the Jermaine Jackson parts you would call from the Jackson, you know, coming in now, is a New Edition album. So for me to even do an album as a solo artist is pretty much a New Edition album, because I do the leads, I'm singing the backgrounds, I do the other talking and rap parts as well. So for the most part, I was always getting off what I wanted to do as an artist through that, through that avenue, through the New Edition project. So I never was like over pressed to do a project as a solo artist. Even when I did the Sensitivity album, at that point, I was kind of like just doing it because everybody else, like you said, was out there doing their thing and hitting hard, and the opportunity was there. And I know there's a lot of artists that wish they could have been out there and had that opportunity. So who am I to look that, give horse in the mouth, just kind of push it to the side? It was a blessing at the end of the day to have those type of offers and stuff. So I had the room to do it then and the space to do it properly. So that's why I did it then. But overall, I just never had that over urge to have to, I got to express myself. I got to show what I'm doing. I was getting that off pretty much through New Edition projects.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that the group setting is more comfortable? Like it's less pressure on you being in the group than being front and center on your own with the solo stuff?
Not really. I feel like I could do both just as well, you know, and with the way you can set up projects, being on stage is pretty much the only difference, you know what I'm saying, as far as being in a group situation. The records themselves, I can handle them. I could sing, I got enough range and enough depth in my abilities to sing songs to cover an album. But
talk your talk, Mr. Tresvant.
Oh, I can.
I can do all the damn harmonies.
I think that's what I do. That's what I do for these, my records and those records. So, and putting dancers behind me if I needed more energy for stage and all that kind of stuff and videos, that's always doable. So it's never that. It's never.
I know how to dance.
There you go, Marlo.
And here we go, Marlo. Here we go.
If you need it, I'm dancer.
I'm gonna remember that.
All right. So, do you think any of that music from that first project we'll ever hear any of that, or you at some point bless us with it?
I wanted to at one point. Now I don't know where those masters are, man. rest in heaven, when my mom passed in 96, the Masters were at her house. And when I went down to the house coming off the road and all that, they disappeared in thin air somewhere. So I don't even have a copy to listen to
Just
myself.
some random person in the hood, just he's holding them. He don't even know what they are, but he got
I got that Ralph Tresvant.
Don't be surprised they're gonna pop up on eBay or something like that.
Right.
Chris, what was that first album going to be an MCA project? Were you signed to MCA for that first album?
MCA had first right of refusal.
Okay.
All the New Edition members. If we
Uh-huh.
decided to go and work a project outside of them, they had first right of refusal, but it wasn't etched there. I had offers of $6 million from Disney. I had other, there was other offers on the table from other companies that were rivaling them at the time that they would have had to match or do better than.
Right.
And in order for me to stay there, but the intention was to go there. I was talking to Gerald Busby and at the time, Lil Silas Jr. and them guys, and that's what you saw in the movie. It was like, man, listen, I got you. Just do this one more for me, this heartbreak joint for me, man, and I got you. We'll take care of you.
So that album that was all out of pocket. That wasn't from a label. That was just you using relationships, just doing it on your own.
That was me and my friend Dwayne Omar, who came up in Boston. He was putting out records in the Boston area. He was putting out his own joints. He was real close with Maurice and some of those people back then. And Cornell Brown, the Brown Genie, he was gonna be the one that kind of pushed it behind. This man he still is like a real estate guru. So he was owning downtown skyscrapers and all kinds of stuff. So that was gonna be my man's, and we were all hyped about dropping this project. And then the politics of the game started coming into play. And I ended up going down there and we're doing the Heartbreak album and never got back to doing that project.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Marlo, did you figure out what you had? Okay.
Yes, I have two again. So the one that I don't want to forget is I feel like when you guys first came out, like early 80s,
mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody had the same kind of hand movements, the grab, the pull in, I feel like somebody must have said, okay, this is what you got to do. These are the 5 movements you got to do.
Never.
So if there wasn't anybody that did that, is there any have to that you would give advice for an R&B person coming in? It's like, okay, they're new. They're R&B. They're 19 years old. And they're like, yo, I just need to know what I need to do when I go on stage.
That's difficult. Well, first of all, nobody told us to do nothing with our hands and all that. That was just something that we wanted to do on our own. Mr. Telephone Man. We just felt like that was how we...
Being mad literal. There's something wrong with my line.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was for the hearing impaired. You can
Right.
you can understand the words, then we ain't said it nothing. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that was just something that we did, man, as growing up. We started working with each other as we was working with each other. That we was feeding off each other all the time. And those are the things that I did naturally, just as a singer, pointing and all that stuff. I guess probably watching stuff in the past, artists in the past, and how they was doing what they was doing, incorporating that. A lot of the stuff that, if you know the Sugar Hill Gang and some of them cats, they was always animated with how they was doing stuff. And so it was following in the footsteps of a lot of things that we had already saw and thought that this was going to excite the moment while you're performing it, So I think that that's what that came from. And to answer the second half of that question, what would I tell artists coming up now? In terms of what they need to do on stage, that's tough, man, because it's like what you want to be is original. You want to have your own thing and not be sitting up, if you're really going to have a long-term career, it can't be something that's over-patterned behind somebody else. You can have hints, and that reminds me, they remind me of the Temptations, for instance, or they remind me of the Jacksons, which was our combination. It's like Blue Magic, Temptations, stylistic vibe meets the Jacksons, meets the pop lockings, what was going on in the streets, at the time. So that was New Edition. That's kind of what rounded us off as a crew. To stand out from that and be something fresh and new, you can take bits and pieces of what we was doing, but somehow try to always incorporate something unique, something that represents just you, the one that brought that to the game. And if you can find that and do that thing, usually you get your own identity going on, and people can respect that and can last a lot longer. But practice. Never be on, don't overbe your own fan. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody else speak about what they think is great about you. You start putting it out there like you the one and you got it like that and you really that fantastic. A lot of times you're not, you know what I'm saying? But sit around, work on it to a point where you start watching family members' eyes raise up. People who've been around you all your life. All right, okay, I like that. When you start feeling that from family and friends, the rest of the world is usually not that hard to please. You know what I'm saying? You kind of you're doing something that's unique and special. And I would take that as one of the things that I always prided myself in, not ever thinking I was that great at anything and always wanting to be better and running it by family and friends and letting them feel what I'm doing. And if I can get them to have that fan look in their eye like, oh my God, that's my brother. If I can get that out of my system, my brother, yeah, the rest of the world to me felt like, I got y'all.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, my last one for real.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have your oh my God moment? Do you remember where you were when you realized, not only were you guys a good group, but you were an amazing group and you were now global?
That's hard to say, There was a lot of defining moments that made you start feeling like first of all, it's like hearing that your song just knocked Beat It out of the #1 slot. That did something to me. It's like, that's Michael Jackson, and what? Candy Girl did what? And I didn't know what the Billboard charts and none of that stuff was back then. I just knew that must be good if we doing, And so that was a great moment. I think when we started appearing, all the first, started appearing on Soul Train. And this is a show that you sat down and watched every week. Like, oh my God, y'all. And finding new dances that's coming off of there. And then all of a sudden you on the stage up there and Don's introducing y'all. And that was a surreal moment. First music award from the American Music Award or Grammy or something like that. When you hear them announce your name, it's like, oh my God, we really doing it like this? Not only just being nominated was already crazy, but hearing them announce your name as the winner, that's surreal. And then I guess if you was going to take a moment, because I've always felt like there was just something else that we needed to do to etch ourselves in that category of the Temps and the Jacksons and the big boys in the game to us. And I think it probably didn't happen for me until they put that star down on the Hollywood Walk of Fame story that year. When they did that, I was like, okay, from Adams Street to Hollywood Boulevard is a big jump. We must have did something right with our lives. You know what I'm saying? That from Roxbury to Hollywood, that was something that said, all right, I think we finally etched ourselves in the middle of all of that. And I got to get at, man, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis from Flight Time, they was the spearheaders of that. Now, money, the fans and all that have to vote and all that. They was a huge part of making sure that those, that the votes were where they needed to be for us to get that. But Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis put it on the board, put it in front of the board in such a way where they was almost getting ready to overlook it. And Jam and them had, no, listen, man, let me show you something, what these boys have done and how long they've been doing this. And then that the individual projects that they all did is in that stuff that's never been done before. You got to, and that's when they reconsidered, said, okay. And they took it serious, and the rest was history. But when we got that was that moment to me. It was like, oh my God, we really did this damn thing. We did it, Right. Check and mate with this.
Right. Yeah, I think, like you said, when you start dealing with certain folks in the higher echelon in Hollywood, they may not, there's a lot of stuff that they don't know about. Mm-hmm. And I would have to say that star ceremony caught them by surprise. I don't think they realized how huge the New Edition fan base is and the overwhelming response and it was raining.
And can you
And it was raining, and that mug was packed.
It broke records, man, and I couldn't believe that. That's another thing that showed the level of impact that the group has had on the world. You know, it was people who flew in from Australia, Africa, London. They was from not just in America and coming all over from here. Los Angeles showed up and crazy, but all over the United States and abroad came in for their broke records. It was the highest
attendance.
The highest attendance in the Hollywood Walk of Fame history, and I couldn't believe that. Are you talking about?
It should be.
I said,
I would have known. I would have been there.
It just blew my mind. Like, out of all these artists, man, you talking about from Elvis's and, you know, all these people who had huge bases, and New Edition had them. I couldn't believe that. You know, it still sits in my mind. Like, we got to do a recount. Michael had to have. Michael had to have some more people out there, but overall, no, they didn't show up. Or it was done in such a secretive way that the fans didn't know to show up or something. But New Edition, when we knew we was getting, it's like, hey, all the fans, come on out. We gonna do
this. No, they didn't have Instagram and Facebook then.
That's right. That's right. Great points.
Listen, I had a group of 11-year-old girls that I coached, and I remember asking them about like people that were popular for me. You know, if they knew who they were. And, you know, I was asking, like, do you know who MC Hammer is? And they were like, no. I was like, do you know who Salt and Pepper is? Like, no. I was like, do you know who New Edition is? They were like, yes. You know New Edition? Nice. I was like,
nice.
What? And they didn't equate it to someone that I knew when I was younger. You know, they just feel like this is, it's always been New Edition. And that's our music. And I was like, that's not yours, it's mine.
That's pretty strong, though. Yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing, man. Me and the boys, we worked hard for a lot of years. You know, we're saying we're going on almost 40 now. And to see all that hard work paid off, you know, a lot of love spread, a lot of people who still enjoy the groups and the group's legacy overall and what we added to the music culture and to our culture in general. It just feels good. It's a blessing to know it wasn't all in vain. You understand? It's definitely a blessing.
Do you ever think of, like, when you think of your kids or your kids, like, they'll never know this? Is there anything that you think of, you're like, they'll never know this? Like, I know when I think of when I have children, the twin boys that I'm going to have one year, I know that they will never know, like, being without a phone. Like, they'll never know being without a house phone or a phone where anybody can contact you. No. They will always have that.
Man, listen, times have changed, you know. That's just how it is. I didn't know a time without the radio in the house, you know what I mean? Wow. That was big for us then, or having a TV in the house. But we watched all this stuff coming first, and my parents telling me about the days when they didn't have this or they didn't have that. And, you know, it's just one of those things, man. Times have changed, and this is where it's at. I remember feeling that when I think my kids, when they grew up and they started having, they were having computer classes at a young age when they, you know, not kindergarten, but first and second grade and all that. They was having computers in their classrooms where they was starting to learn what that was all about. And that was something that for us, all we had was the number 2 pencil and eraser. Right. Number 2 pencil and an eraser to go with it. And that was our class. We had to go from there, but times have changed. And I don't know, they'll never know that unless they do their research. They do their research and their homework and want to know about those days. But yeah, all I can say is that times have definitely changed.
Absolutely. So now, Riz, with everything that you've accomplished, 2020, you have this new single out, All Mine, featuring your man, Johnny Gill. What made you say, you know, this is the time? Like, this is the time, this is the song, I'm ready to go. And because it's almost like me seeing you move over this, you know, since the release, it's almost like you're a new artist, man. I've seen you on everybody's podcast. I've seen you on everybody's radio show. You are seriously grinding again, and obviously there's so much more platforms now, so I know that much more requests. But it seems like you're enjoying yourself, you're energized. Is that what the feeling is, on this run with this new single?
Absolutely, man. I do feel renewed. I feel a sense of I just understand myself better. The industry, I understand it more. I'm more comfortable in my role, in my lane. But being an artist, it's not such an urgency to try to be something. Just go out here and be myself. I feel it differently now. I can appreciate it all differently now. And what pushed me this time really was just to sitting home. Johnny's out there doing his thing, and he's the main motivator. Johnny was like, dude, what you gonna do?
Right.
You see everybody out there moving, I'm moving. These guys out there moving as individuals. You got BBD still moving. You got the Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mark, and they moving around. He said, what you gonna do? You just gonna sit around on? I said, nah, man, I'm finna stand up on this pimping. It's time to get it popping.
Right. You still look good. I mean, you look good. I mean, you look nice.
Thank you. What I did was I feel good. I feel healthy. I feel I'm in a good place. Why not now? You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting any younger. And before I can't do what I do, for whatever reason, God forbid, let me get out here and get back in the middle of it and start doing my own thing. My kids are grown. They're out there doing their thing. Now I've raised them. They're smart, productive kids. They're fine. You know what I mean? And I always got their back. And just sitting around after that felt like you just kind of dormant. It's like, nah, I don't want to sit dormant. Let me get back in the middle of here and try to make as much as I can happen with my own legacy, finish out my own thing, see what I can still pull off as an individual. And being where, like I said, being where I'm at, very relaxed, calm, at ease, a lot wiser, a lot smarter, a lot more appreciative of the ride that I took to get where I'm at now. Let me go out here and make the most of it, man.
Is there anybody riding with you? Are you married, Ralph?
No, I'm not married anymore.
What? Y'all some haters, I swear.
Hey, here's the thing. I promote Black love. I just don't know if this is the forum.
I just asked the question.
I know, Marlon, I feel you. Try the DM. Let's try the DM route and see how you got.
It's all good, Doc. I'm 1,000 with it, man. I'm like I said, I'm comfortable where I'm at. I'm still cool. We got a beautiful son. We both make sure he's good and take care of him. But we had to move ways, and that's just what happens sometimes.
It happens.
Hey, it happens.
Oh my
brother.
God, the threes of yous.
Yeah, man. That divorce ain't no punk. I was in it for 8 years, been out for 3 years. Boy, I tell you, it's no joke.
Yeah,
she didn't know you were out for 3 years.
Marlo, be quiet. You've never been married. No one's even asked you to marry them, so you don't know about that.
I've been asked to be married.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Don't have to think so, you sucker-ass sucker. He said, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And I wasn't even going to go here until Marlo brought that up, but real quick, do you feel being married and in this entertainment industry, does that start to take a toll on the relationship?
It does. It has its moments, but I believe that it's how you how you go into it, man. Really knowing who you're going into that with. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us get into it too early, too young, before we really got a chance to pull off life. Both sides really got to be able to pull off life the way you want to sit where you want to sit in life. You know what I'm saying? I think once you're there, you're in a better place to be in someone else's life. You know what I mean? And vice versa. I think at the end of the day, a lot of us get into these relationships for the wrong reasons, at the wrong time. And as time goes on, you realize that. You just go, okay, man, listen, I done stifled you from some things that you probably could have or would have done if I wasn't in your life. I don't think I might have messed up your whole little walk. And, and life is too short to do that,
Mm-hmm.
Help them get back on track, help them get the things they need to get and get back where they think they or should be. And once a person is finished doing that with their lives, finding themselves, doing themselves, I think they're in a better place to be, to add something to someone else's life. That's when you're supposed to do that kind of stuff with. We come up just almost like this. You get this age, you're supposed to be married by now. You're supposed to start having kids by now. And all of that's kind of etched in how it's supposed to be done. And we're walking in that blueprint. and not really understanding that I don't think that blueprint is something that works. Even back then, if you look at the divorce rates and all that stuff, and including now, it's just something that doesn't really work at the end of the day. If you don't know who you are, if you haven't accomplished what you was trying to do in this world, and sit in a place where you are comfortable with who and where you are, you know? I don't want to feel like I'm holding somebody back from being who they should have been with, or being who and doing what they think they should have been doing in the world, and vice versa. So overall, I think that that's where it really sits. I don't think it has too much to do with a career choice and all that. I think it just has to do with polishing you off, doing what you need to be doing, and sitting where you need to be sitting before you get into those type of relationships.
Right.
Hey, I recognize rated R from I heard rated R just now. That wasn't missing sensitivity at all. Your feelings at all. Do you hear me? It's like, it don't matter what you feel. This is just
hey, it's rated R.
So, new single out now.
Yeah.
Online. Video is out. You making your rounds. I'm sure, you know, with just this whole Corona thing that you know, obviously has stifled a little bit of you getting out to perform because of everything that's going on. Are you finding that you might start doing stuff more, you know, like Marla was saying, you know, there's a lot of performance that folks are doing via from their home and, you know, the different isolated places. Is that something that you want to do, or you kind of just want to wait till this subsides so you can actually hit the stage?
And how can y'all do that in 5 different areas?
Well, I'm talking about him as a solo artist.
Oh, got you. Okay.
As a solo artist, man, I've been getting a lot of those offers now. They're really starting to come in as the song's picking up steam and moving up the charts and all this stuff. And people want to see me perform it. Or they're doing functions where they want me to be a part of it. And part of being a part of it is to, you know, perform some sets. But it's just like you said, it's really different. It's really different for me. I came up in there with the band, that live interaction, the people right there in front of you, touching their hands, or just that live energy coming right back at you as you're doing what you're doing is something for me that is surreal to think about doing it without that, you know, just in your house or in a studio somewhere, trying to duplicate what I've grown up to as part of the feedback that allows me to do the type of performance that I do. You know, you can muster it up. I'm sure I can muster it up and do the thing, but it's hard when you do something and you don't feel that reaction, because that reaction is what it kind of pushes you into the next thing you're about to do. You know what I mean? So without that, you kind of got to pre-plan a whole routine, walk through it in this way where you don't know if they're liking it or not.
Right.
Right.
You just got to read the chat comments. Like,
like sensitivity. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of different, man. But I feel like at the end of the day, if this is where it's going, and who knows if it's going to go back to how it was or any time, who even knows? I got to start adjusting. I got to start figuring it out. And that's what I'm doing now, trying to figure out how would I do that? You know, would it be with a band? Would it be with a track? Would it be in my crib? I set up an area where I do concerts, or it's something I'm sitting down doing, or is it something that I got to want to get up and really perform with some sort of moving camera that can follow me around so I don't know. The energy just has to be put together in a way where I feel excited about delivering it. But right now, I'm not that excited about it. I'm not excited about performing in the crib and the audience is on the other side of the planet in their cribs. You know, that's just weird to me, coming from the era I come from of performing. You know, it just feels so awkward. But again, you know, I've been able to adjust with the times throughout the year. So if need be, I'll find a way to make it happen. And I want to perform. I want people to see me do the records and do the new singles and all that stuff and promote it and push it. So I find a way to make it work, man.
Right.
If we did a versus with New Edition, who would you guys go against?
Oh man, we'd have to go against ourselves. We have to go against BBD, Bobby Brown, Ralph Tresvant, Johnny Gill versus New Edition.
Right.
Which would be super dope, by the way.
Absolutely.
Have you been watching them, Ralph? Have you been watching all the verses?
Oh man, Snoop and DMX by far right now, man. That's
No question. No question.
It's so good.
Who did you have
going in?
Going into it, and then when it was over, was it the same?
It was tough, man. Going in, I just felt like there was a lot of music. There was a lot of music that both of them shared with the world that it was kind of up in the air. I honestly, I think going in because of the style, I think, and because of he's knowing more of a lyricist, I was leaning toward X. I was leaning toward DMX going in. But as that was going on, I was like, oh, damn, I forgot that.
Right.
Oh, I forgot that Snoop joint. And then Snoop's performance of his stuff.
Right.
Was, to me, he was the better performer that night. You know,
Snoop had more fun than anybody else in the world.
Yeah, Snoop had a ball.
Maybe Jadakiss. Maybe Jadakiss because he was lit.
right. Smooth, that's right. But yeah, that's what I was feeling. His delivery, Snoop's vocal sound exactly the same.
Just like the record, dude. Just like the record.
Everything was like, is he lip syncing or what's happening? You know, so but Snoop was Snoop, man. And he's so cool with it. His records are so gangstered out, and just hearing him do him so flawlessly in front of us like that I was like, okay, I see why at the end of the day, he got the trophy. You know, he was the reigner in that one. But I did go into it thinking that this X, because of he's, you know how X, I'm just used to him being more animated, just what he was in my mind. I thought he was going to take that. But I did know Snoop had a hell of a catalog. But it wasn't until he started unfolding that catalog in front of me that I started like, ooh, I forgot about,
Me too.
All right, Snoop. Yeah, no, both
and
of them.
I'm from Compton, so I'm supposed to be pro Snoop, but I was just thinking that I would be the DMX would win. But like you said, when he started playing, I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was just like that for me too. You know what was beautiful about the whole thing overall for me though, like everybody's been saying, the camaraderie and just watching two coasts that at one point had rivalry, watching these two coasts in that room playing off of something that we call hip hop in this way that just made it enjoyable for everybody. And you know, from both coasts and everyone in between was able to feel this is the energy that we call hip hop right here, man.
Yeah.
We brought it to the table in a way that they brought it to the table, man, where it really unfolded. This is how it's, but they said that. I think Snoop said, this is how it's supposed to be done. This is what it's all about right here. You know, both worlds, all worlds coming together. And it wasn't so much of a versus anymore. Then it was more of a watching two masters at hip hop do what they do in their own ways, and it merged. I started saying the dog concert. This is a concert. If I was in the building right now,
right.
This was in the building right now, and I was in there, I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah, you screaming it loud, screaming the lyrics loud like you on stage.
Exactly. That's exactly how it made me feel. I thought that in fact, if all this goes down and we get a chance to go back out there like that, I would love to see them two.
Man.
In the same bill, man. It just showed me how well they match. And it was dog versus dog at the end of the day. You know, it was a cold combo that
the concept is dope.
Listen, when I saw DMX show up, I said, well, look at here.
Right. I was a little concerned.
And then, because I wasn't sure if he was going to show up, you know, but
or stay.
He showed up.
Or stay.
He was first, and he looked like he ate old DMX. Like, he himself said, me and Snoop look like the number 10.
Yeah, they did. I heard him, man. That's hilarious. But
yeah.
He did.
Riz, man, thanks so much for taking the time to hang with us, man. It's always great talking to you. You know, I the way I feel about you, dude, you know, if I haven't said it before, man, I love you. Not just, you know, obviously all the music that you've provided was a soundtrack for my life growing up, and I think all of us can say the same thing. That
you
all
gonna cry?
That
you gonna cry?
Done for us.
You gonna cry, Doc?
I think so.
Nah, it's important.
They bring a tear in my eye right now.
It's important while you have the opportunity, and I have been trying to take the opportunity over this last year and a half to tell folks how you feel about them, because you never know if you're going to get that opportunity again, especially in the times that we're in. You know what I mean?
Very true.
The music speaks for itself. What New Edition has done for me, what BBD has done for me, I can't even, I can go on and on. But as my homie and as my friend and all the times that we've shared, and yo, let me tell you, I won't speak to Ralph for months. This fool will send me the funniest shit on Facebook at 6 o'clock in the morning. It'll be like at mad random times, and it'll be the funniest thing, whatever he found. So we always share stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
Love you to death, dude.
Listen.
We're gonna support this new single. All Mine. Smooth D is gonna play it.
You can play it, D?
On the way out, yeah. That's how we go. If you don't close the show, you got to close the show right.
Let folks know before Ralph actually introduces the single. Riz, how can folks find you?
Man, listen, you know, I'm everywhere.
Just Google me.
Just Google my name, baby. You already know what it is. Yeah, at Ralph Tresvant or something like that. Put one of them in front of it if you got to be more specific. But just, you know, I'm not hard to find, man. Lead singer, New Edition, Ralph Tresvant.
And I'm a legend. What? You know where I'm at.
It'll pop up somewhere, man. And I love you too, Doc. You know what I'm saying? In a real way, man. Throughout the years, you've always been there. You've always helped out. You've put some songs on the table for us in New Edition when we was putting together some of that puffy stuff. You brought some people and some things to the table. You've always been instrumental in sending me tracks. That's some of the stuff you're talking about I work on behind the scenes. We go back and forth like that at all times, man. So I appreciate you. AM Caffeine. You already know the morning show is a real thing. All right? My man.
There it is.
My man.
Ralph, you got on bottoms?
Huh?
You got on bottoms, Ralph?
Yeah, of course I do.
Why are you looking down like what?
Brother, why are you looking like you trying to see?
Let me see.
Let me see.
Of course I do. At all times.
My man, Ralph Tresvant, right here, AM Caffeine Show. You guys know somewhere. We'll be back today. Thank you, Riz. Appreciate it, my dude.
Stand up on it, man. Keep doing
absolutely.
It, right? We've been trying to do it, man. I appreciate it. We got it in, Doc.
You already know. I'm going to hit you later.
All right, family.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Salutes.
Love y'all.